Good morning. Today's title is The Ninth Wave, the Inexorable March Toward Freedom. It's the 4th of July here in the United States, a day that supposedly focuses on freedom and independence. I ask, are we really free? The answer depends on how deeply we are willing to look. To me, there can be no real freedom for a people that remain ignorant of truth. Indeed, truth and justice are the cornerstones for a truly free society. And as I ponder the situation, not only in the United States, but in America, I mean, not only in the United States, but in the world. That was funny. I realize that even though there is a tremendous awakening occurring, a vast number of people remain ignorant of the truths that are necessary to establish a free society that reaches across the entire planet. Which is why I still look for and expect some catalyzing event that takes place that in a sweep catches people up in a wave of revelation, if you will, that ultimately reestablishes the foundation or the cornerstones of truth and justice. I don't know exactly what that's going to be, nor exactly what it's going to look like, but to me it's a sine qua non, it's a not without which. We cannot establish freedom and true independence of the individual, true sovereignty of the individual upon earth, until we know who we are. And so many of us haven't a clue. I'm sure that's not true of most people that listen to these daily videos and watch these daily videos. We're probably leading the pack as far as either our understanding or at least our hunger to be free. Now, I want to say something about independence that came to me when I said the word earlier. I don't really believe there can be true independence without a recognition of our interdependence. Indeed, whatever takes place here on the earth during this ninth wave requires there to be somewhat of a mass movement, albeit there only needs to be enough people to have reached a tipping point and the critical mass, which I believe, as I've said many times, we've already reached the critical mass. And if the tipping point is 70,000 people on the planet, we may or may not have reached that. I'm really not sure, because a lot of people that are fed up with the system still don't know who they are. They may be out on the streets in Egypt or Greece or Spain or Libya or various other countries around the world, seemingly a lot around the Mediterranean region of the world. They may be out demonstrating against the unemployment and against the criminality of banks, etc., etc. But understanding the problem, while it is important, does not tell us who we are. And knowing who I am is the single most important factor in establishing both my independence based upon my recognition of my interdependence. I need you just as you need me, and we all need each other to shift the whole world from a separation consciousness paradigm to a paradigm of unity consciousness, where we recognize that each is my brother and sister, each one that I meet, regardless of religion, and again, all of the things that have separated us from time immemorial. We can look back as far as we want in human history, and there has always been a polarization of the people. That must end in the ninth wave, or the ninth wave will fall and not complete its function. Yet I said at the very beginning, the title of this is The Inexorable March Toward Freedom, which means it's unstoppable. It is the will of God, if you will, that the people become free. The cry that Moses issued to the Pharaoh in Egypt 10,000 years ago, or whatever time frame it might have been, was let my people go. Set my people free, in other words. The cry was for freedom, just as the cry in the human heart is for freedom in our day and age in 2011. The flame of freedom has been lit, and it's been lit by the Spirit of the living God from my perspective. The Creator that created us all and gave us all unalienable and unalienable rights. That same Spirit is alive and well, as it was in 1776 when the Declaration of Independence was signed by mostly Masons, many of which were part of the Dark Pope's agenda, if you will, the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus. These were people that had a game plan. And the game plan to many of us, as we look back and as we look at our world today, at the Illuminati and the Crown, the City of London, and we look at the District of Columbia, and we look at the city-state of the Vatican, many of us that look at these so-called conspiracies fail to see that there is a divine plan at work even in the conspiracy. I want everyone to understand, as I've said before, there is a dark side to light work. And that may sound really, really strange. But as I've also said before, humans are a lazy and apathetic collective of people, a collective of beings that like to rest in the familiar. And we are not very adventuresome sometimes when it comes to pushing our boundaries and going outside the comfort zone that is familiar to each of us. We tend to be quite lazy. So the light, in order to accomplish this plan, which I believe is a plan of tremendous uplifting, you might want to call it ascension, into a higher knowledge, a higher awareness, from a low level of consciousness to a higher level of consciousness. This plan requires a 2x4 over the head sometimes. Or, put another way, it requires acts of apparent darkness in order to awaken people from the slumber and sleep of the nightmare that we create in ignorance. And we create it together, folks. There is nobody that can rule over anyone else if the anyone else happens to know who they are. Because when you know who you are, you automatically stand in a certain level of power, and you have a certain air of authority that is essential and inherent within your very being. And you just simply know it. Just as I simply know that within me is something that's infinite and eternal, that cannot be extinguished no matter what happens, no matter what anyone does to me. It all works for me in the awakening. And this is something that I come to realize more and more and more as I listen to the message that Spirit gives me in those quiet moments between the thoughts in my meditations, in my contemplations, as I ponder what is happening in my life and in the life of my friends and the people around me. We are moving toward freedom. I feel it, I see it, I know it. And so do many others. I'm not alone. And there's no one, there's no Illuminati, no Jesuit order, no Zionist movement, no international bankers, no secret cabal, no collection of dark workers, no Anunnaki. Nothing can stop the move of freedom. It is destiny, folks. It is destiny. It is the inherent destiny of the human race to reach its completion, and I believe that's happening in the ninth wave, which is why I commit myself to doing these daily videos. To let you know that no matter what it looks like, no matter what it looks like in your personal life, no matter what it looks like in the society around you, the things that you focus on the news or on the internet, no matter what you focus on and how it may appear, something is happening that's bigger than the average person on this planet can see at the present time, which is why, again, I call for a catalyzing event. I think that the probability that it will involve angelic or extraterrestrial revelations, I believe that that's probably going to be part of this catalytic movement or catalytic event that takes place to awaken. And I don't know how that's going to occur. I know there are those who have exercised power in the world who don't want to see that happen. Why? Because, frankly, it will end their reign of terror. But is it their reign of terror, or is it their reign of doing what they needed to do to awaken the rest of us who were fast asleep? I mean, terrorism has a double-edged sword. Who are we terrorizing, if not our own self? Get over the victim thing. Get over it. Whatever we do and whatever's happening is happening to us because it's responding to something within us. Again, when we know, if we knew who we were, that we are eternal, infinite beings with powers and knowledge beyond our current comprehension, if we really grasp that truth, nothing from the outside could make us a victim. Nothing. So as we march toward freedom, as the flame of freedom burns in our soul, in our heart, as our mind is captivated by the idea of a divine destiny moving toward a world of peace, as we are captivated by this, realize that our captivation, our captivity is about to be burst. Why? Because freedom will reign. Peace will reign on earth. And it's happening right now. It's happening right now in this ninth wave. Many circumstances between here and the end of October are going to occur that are going to lead to an exponential rise in the awakening consciousness of humanity. This is where we are, and this is where we're going. We are releasing the chains that have kept us bound for thousands of years, generation after generation. We are being released from those chains. We are bursting asunder the bonds that have bound us. And it is a beautiful thing. So as you celebrate the 4th of July, wherever you are, it's not the same for everybody in the whole world, obviously, nor should it be. But this is a day I want you to think about freedom, yours and everyone else's. I leave you with those thoughts. Namaste.